Hello, welcome back to the Genuine Ginger podcast. I'm your hostess, Mackenzie Quintana, and it's nighttime. I couldn't sleep, and so I decided to just come record this podcast. I recorded last week's, and now I'm doing this one. So if you got last week's, then we're still here. I'm here again. I'm here every week. I don't know. Anyways, I'm hoping that I will be tired after I record this and I'll be able to go to sleep. So thanks for hanging out with me tonight or whatever time it is that you are listening to this. I hope you are or have had a wonderful day. Last week I shared that I had there were two kind of words or questions that I have been asking myself that have really kind of shifted some things for me over the last couple months. Last episode was kind of something that had been happening over the last several months. This episode is just something that has been happening over the last several weeks, like week or two, really. I have 4 children and I homeschool them. Little quick side note here. Never mind. Actually, I'm not going to do that right now. I was just going to share about the skincare and makeup that I offer. But if you want to know about that, then you can go to my website, thegenuineginger.com. I don't want to talk about that right now. I want to talk about what I'm going to talk about. So, I homeschool my children. My oldest is 10 and my youngest is 4. And so I'm, home all day with them. And that is something that I have chosen to do. And, most of the times I'm learning to love it. I want to love it. I'm grateful. I'm just so grateful that that I have this option to be able to, have my kids home with me and to be able to teach them and create memories and experiences with them. And it has been hard. Not gonna lie, like definitely it's had some really, really hard times, really, really hard moments. But there's also been some really, really great times and really, really great moments. And so, like anything in life, right? If you're a mother, you can kind of, I'm sure you could relate to just life of being home, having your kids home with you all day, every day. And it's, like I said, it's something that I've chosen and I've adapted to and am adapting to. And anyways, so it was the week of Halloween. Is where the story begins. The week of Halloween, and I'm not a Halloween person, and I was in my luteal phase. So if you've watched other episodes, if you've learned, luteal phase is kind of where our energy levels start to go down. And we're talking about our menstrual cycle, if you don't know what I'm talking about. The luteal phase is the second half where energy levels start to go down. Sometimes we're a little bit more moody. This is where PMS sometimes comes into play. And I knew this ahead of time because I'm someone who looks ahead at my cycle and kind of looks and sees what I have going on and where it's, what phase of my cycle I will be in. And so I knew that I was going to be dealing with Halloween while I was in my luteal phase, and I had done what I could to prepare myself for that, and I had done like prep work and stuff beforehand. So, and then I also wanted to celebrate for the first time ever. I wanted to celebrate Dia de los Muertos. So I was born and raised in Mexico. My husband is Mexican. But we had never celebrated Dia de los Muertos or Day of the Dead, and with our family, but I just felt the desire to do that. And so, and I'm really glad that we did. It was a week that was just very, celebrating Dia de los Muertos ended up being a lot more emotional than I thought it would be. Connecting with my ancestors, specifically my grandmas who have passed away. And like I said, I was in my luteal phase, so just a lot more emotional in general because of my hormones. And so it was kind of an emotional week because of that. It was kind of a stressful week because of Halloween, and I'm not a Halloween person, but I was trying to make the best of it and enjoy it, and do fun things with my kids, and then I homeschool my kids, and so there was that on top of it, and it was just it was just a week where, like I said, a lot of it was really, really good, but I was also just really just not loving the way that I was interacting with my children some of the times, and just really just kind of like ready for change. Like, I don't want to keep doing this, but I don't really know what to do to fix it, type of deal. Just the way that I was interacting with my kids and the attitude that I was having with them, and I don't remember like specifically praying for help with this, or like asking a specific question, but it was just kind of on my heart of like, I don't want to keep this pattern or this cycle or this habit or this way that I have of interacting and communicating with my children, and just anyways. And so so that was the week of Halloween, and kind of that weekend I was kind of feeling this way, and I went to church on Sunday, and was sitting and singing the hymns that we sing, and one of the hymns is called Love at Home. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. But this is a hymn that we sing, it's, I mean, not like super common, but it's one that I've heard a lot in my life. One of kind of the more favorite ones. And so I'd heard it a million times. And so I'm just kind of, singing along. My mind is elsewhere. And all of a sudden, one of the lines of the lyrics just kind of jumped out at me. And it was, time doth softly, sweetly glide when there's love at home. And I was like, time doth softly, sweetly glide. Oh, because that was another thing, was I was kind of, I've kind of been a little bit, at an, I don't know, I just kind of like, okay, not loving how our time management was going with homeschool and chores and things that we're wanting to do during our day. And so that's probably why this particular line jumped out at me, because that was kind of also on my mind. And so I'm like one of my goals, my desires, is that I can just flow through my day. Like, I can just, find ease and joy moving through the different things that I need to do during my day, and my kids involved with that and everything. And so flow, that specific word flow, is something that I desire and have strived to kind of embody a little bit more. So time doth softly, sweetly glide. Oh, I thought it said flow, but it says glide, which kind of same energy as glide and flow. So I was just like, ooh, like that jumped out at me, like time doth softly, sweetly glide. And I was like, ooh, I want that. And then the next line is when there's love at home. And then I kept listening to the lyrics. And I was just like, I want all of this. Like, all the earth's a garden sweet, making life a bliss complete when there's love at home, right? Like, kind of cheesy, but also like, yeah, I would love that. Sweeter sings the brook let by, brighter beams the azure sky. Oh, there's one who smiles on high when there's love at home. And so I was just like, that, like, love at home, that to me became the answer as I was listening to this hymn of, if I want time to softly, sweetly flow, if I want, if I want to change the way that I'm interacting with my children and the attitude that I'm having with them, I need more love. I need more love in my home. And of course, I love my children. Of course, like, with all my heart, I love them, of course, and I would say there is love in our home, right? Like, it's not like we hate each other and we're screaming at each other all the time. There's definitely screaming. definitely screaming and yelling, and that's something that we're working on. But yes, of course, like we also have really good times, and there's definitely love in my home. But I've realized, like, how can, the question that I have found myself asking myself, especially in those moments where I am maybe a little bit frustrated or impatient or annoyed with my child, or just mostly, which this is a little tip, guys. This may sound really crazy to you, but I promise it works. Okay. Ask your angels to help you. I believe that we all have angels. We have a team of heavenly beings, of angels that are here to help us, but they can't help us unless we ask for their help. And so I have asked my angels to help me remember to ask myself this question, because it's not, it doesn't just happen overnight, on my own. And so, and you can do this for anything, guys. That's been one of my favorite things to do that I've learned that I can do, is to ask my angels for help. Oh, angels, remind me to do this, or, help me to know what to do about this. Anyways, so there's just been this little trigger that's been going off in my brain when I start to feel myself get impatient, or I'm starting to speak to my children in a way that I don't want to speak to them. I'm able to recognize that, which we've talked about that in the past, right? Like, that is the first step, is to be able to just start to notice your thoughts, notice the way that you're speaking, the way that you're thinking, the way that you're acting. Just start to notice it, right? So I've been practicing that for almost 5 years now. And so I've gotten a lot better at that. And so I've been able to notice when I am speaking to them in a way that I don't want to, and ask myself, how can I say what I'm wanting to say with more love? How can I, in this moment, show more love towards my child or my children? Most of the time it's just a matter of, I will soften my voice and I will just say please, which doesn't work, honestly. Honestly, guys, it doesn't work all the time. And this week has been probably the worst week that we've had, with my kids just not getting their things done, even though I ask them over and over and over again, will you please get your chores done? Will you get your chores done? You need to do your schoolwork, right? But I have found myself just not letting it get to a point where I mean, not perfectly. I'm not perfect, guys. I've still gotten frustrated with them, and I've still raised my voice, and I've still, had to make threats that I didn't want to make, but it's been better. It's been better than it has in the past. I've been able to catch myself a little bit more, and just literally I will be raising my voice and, starting to raise my voice and get a little bit frustrated. And I will just literally soften my voice and slow down, continue saying what I'm saying, but just that simple act of, instead of raising my voice and letting my emotions get bigger and angrier, I soften my voice and let my emotions become calmer. And it's a practice, but it's at least, like I said, I don't know that it's made necessarily a difference on their end, but at least for me, it's made a difference on how I feel. And I'm trusting that over time it will, it'll change for them too. And just trying to, so I was listening to a Instagram live video this week. It's the Instagram account is called Inklings. It's how do I explain this easily? So every I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Twice a year, we have what we call a general conference where the general leaders of our church speak to the whole world. And so this Instagram account is just basically any of the women who want to come together and study these talks given by these leaders. And so I've just started doing it this last month. And anyways, so I was listening to an Instagram live video, and there was a guest on, and her name is Brooke Romney, and maybe you've heard of her, seen her on Instagram. She I actually don't think I follow her, but I have seen her. I know a little bit about her. She kind of teaches about parenting and like teens and stuff. And what I've seen, I don't know why I don't follow her, because what I've seen has been really great. Anyways, and so she was sharing, we were talking about, this is kind of a tangent, guys, but we were talking about in this talk that we were discussing, or that these women were discussing, and I was listening to, it was talking about how Jesus is a God of both justice and mercy. And how this Brooke Romney was sharing how she has, found that is one of the ways that she can show Christ-like love is by having both justice and mercy with her children. And so the example that she gave was, if her teenager is coming home late from curfew, they've probably, they've established a consequence for that. And so, this teenager comes home late from curfew, and she's going to say, hey, you're late from curfew, and so here's the consequence for that, right? That's where we have the justice. And also she then could say and I'd love to hear, you must have been having so much fun and that's why you were late, or I'd love to hear about what you were out doing, not in this what were you doing? Why were you out late? In my mind, whenever there's a consequence, I feel like I have to make it be mean. I have to say the consequence and have it's for some reason it's not enough for the consequence, right? I have to be mean and be make sure that they know that this is bad, which I'm I think they probably get that, that if there's a consequence and they don't like the consequence, so they already understanding that this is not a good situation. So I don't need to add to it by being grumpy and mean and angry about it, right? And so she just was saying so then, I'll just say I'd love to hear what you were out doing. I'm sorry that you're going to have this consequence, but I'd love to hear what you were doing. And please tell me all about it, And so just that mercy part of it also, of just, sharing love, still loving them, even though there's a consequence, even though, they're not doing what you're wanting them to do, you can still show them love. And, so that's something that I've been working on the last couple weeks. And like I said, I'm not perfect at it by any means, but it has there's just that little shift of asking that question of how can I show more love right now? How can I speak to my child with more love? How can I, how can I have more love for my child in this moment? That little shift has made such a big difference. And I'm sure, just like with what I talked about last week, the question that I had about nourishing, right? How can I nourish my body? Just like that, that worked for a little while, and then I kind of slipped back into my old ways, and now I'm trying to do that again. I'm sure the same thing will happen with this, right? Right now it's kind of fresh on my mind, and so it's been working, but this is a muscle that I have to practice, that I have to get better at. It's a skill that I have to develop, and so I'm not going to be perfect at it. I'm probably going to slip back to how I was, especially probably when I'm back into my luteal. Right now I'm in my ovulation phase, and my follicular, my ovulation phase. And so it's just easier for me to have a little bit more patience and be a little bit more, lighthearted and stuff. And so, when that time of my cycle comes around, I'm probably it's not gonna be quite as easy, and I might kind of slip back into old ways and forget that this is the question that I desire to ask myself. But then I'm going to keep trying, and I'm asking my angels right now to remind me again if I do slip off, fall off the wagon, and I'm going to keep trying, and I'm going to little by little, it might be 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but little by little, we're going to make progress. And little by little, we are going to become better at and become more of who we desire to be. And that is something that I have seen evidence of in my life. And I know that that is true for you too. So thanks for listening. And I am going to hopefully go to bed now. So I hope that you have a good rest of your day or whatever time it is, or a good night, or I will catch you next week. I love ya. Bye.